Well, good afternoon from the Creation Museum, actually Legacy Hall in the Creation Museum, and it's Thursday, the 12th of January, 2017. I'm Ken Ham, President of Answers in Genesis, the Creation Museum, and the Ark Encounter, and I want to talk to you today about a special program that's coming up here in about a month on February 17, Friday, February 17. It's a special conference that we have here. In fact, we have a number of conferences in our Legacy Hall at the Creation Museum during the year. I thought I'd just show you Legacy Hall here. There's nobody in here right now. We have nothing going on in the actual auditorium, but it seats around about 1,000 people, and so we have a number of different conferences that we put on here at the Creation Museum. We have special speaking engagements here every day. People come into the Creation Museum and we offer workshops and we offer presentations, but we also run special conferences as well. Now, some of our conferences we run off-site. There's a local church that seats a couple of thousand, and we sometimes run conferences there. But February 17, Friday, February 17, we have our Answers for Teachers conference. It's a one-day conference, and people who attend that can also go to the Creation Museum, get a ticket to the Creation Museum they can use before August 31st, and they get a 20% discount off the Ark Encounter as well. And when we say teachers, we mean it could be Christian teachers in Christian school, could be teachers in a secular school, it could be homeschool teachers, just parents, because parents are teachers. In fact, anyone, Sunday school teacher, pastors, anyone involved in teaching, because we know the Bible teaches that's a very important position. Be not many masters or teachers, for you'll bear a stricter judgment, because we influence those that we teach in such a powerful way. And I have here two of the speakers that are going to be there. There's a number of speakers actually at the conference. Dr. Tommy Mitchell, who's one of our speakers, and Brian Osborne as well. And I thought I'd just talk to you guys a little bit here about what you're going to be doing at the conference. So Brian, first of all, what are you going to be speaking on at the conference?
Do animals evolve? Defining evolution.
I hope your answer is going to be no.
You're correct. I like my job. No, but yes, we'll be defining the word very clearly, which is very needed in our culture today. And as a little side note, I'll also be emceeing the conference as well.
Oh, okay. Yep. So this is sort of just a unique one-day conference, and we get people coming in who just want some extra understanding and training in regard to Christian worldview and how to teach topic of origins and.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. They're going to get equipped to defend their faith, and it is geared towards teachers, and that's the focus. Now, like you mentioned, there are many different types of teachers. What I've noticed, a little side note.
So anyone could really come.
Anybody could really come. I will say this though, I've got a chance to speak at a couple in-services at different schools, even a regional in-service over in Texas, and it was a Christian school. And it's interesting as I speak to these teachers on the issue of biblical authority, where it's being attacked today, the issue of origins, answering the question, defending the faith, why 2/3 are walking away, as we talk about as a ministry. These teachers connect with what we're talking about. They get it. They see it. And so they get excited that someone recognizes the problem, and we can put a name to the problem, right, and then give answers as solutions to that problem. So there's a real heightened connection between this and teachers in our day and age, for sure.
You know, that's the uniqueness of what we do here at Answers in Genesis. We're an apologetics ministry, and we have done the research to know why young people are walking away from the church and why they're so secular in their thinking. And so we're not just teaching what the Bible says, we're teaching apologetics, teaching people how to defend the Christian faith and equip them with a truly Christian worldview. And we find so many teachers just really don't know how to do that, and they want these answers and want to be able to really teach that Christian worldview, which requires a foundation in God's Word, and particularly in Genesis 1 to 11, to develop a truly Christian worldview. So just looking at the list of speakers here, we have Dr. Nathaniel Jeanson, who has a PhD from Harvard University, Dr. Terry Mortensen, Brian, who you just met. We even have a breakout session for some of the teachers who deal with kids and talking about animals. Someone from our petting zoo is actually going to talk about animals. Ken Ham, he's going to be speaking. Oh, that's me. Yeah, I'll be speaking as well, sort of giving an overview and the importance of Christian worldview. And we have Dr. Tommy Mitchell as well. So, Dr. Mitchell, tell us what you're going to be speaking of.
Well, I'm going to be talking about the Bible and science. More specifically, I'm going to be talking about the difference between what we call observation or objective science, if you will, versus historical science. Science that's done in the present. Science is observable, it's testable, it's repeatable. We talk about the science we do in the present versus making assumptions about the past. Because so many people are intimidated with this whole idea of the Bible versus science. Science has somehow trumped the Bible. We want to show people that this is really not a battle of evidence. It's not about finches and fossils and rock layers. It's about how you interpret the finches, the fossils, and the rock layers.
It's a conflict of worldviews, which depends upon your foundation. People have this idea that, if you're a creationist, you can't be a scientist. That, creation, science can't go in the same sentence. Are you going to deal with that issue?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's actually the focus of the whole presentation I'll be doing.
Because people just have a wrong understanding of science. And, of course, what's happened today is the secularists have actually redefined evolution in a way. They said evolution is science, creation is religion, and they've basically defined science as meaning evolution. But the word science itself means knowledge, and there's different types of knowledge. When you're talking about the past, you're talking about beliefs concerning our origins. That's very different to using your five senses in the present. You're a medical doctor.
Right.
You're an internist, actually, a specialist. And so how important was evolution to your understanding of the human body and being able to diagnose disease and so on?
It played absolutely no role at all. Over the years I was actually in practice, I don't recall making a single clinical decision that required knowledge of evolution. Now, obviously, as an undergraduate and even in medical school to some degree, I was taught evolution, and back in those days, that was my worldview. I was, at that time, a theistic evolutionist. But as far as going to work every day, talking to sick people, making diagnoses, making treatment decisions, any aspect of evolution was just unimportant to the decisions I made.
Now, wait a minute. People get on my Facebook and they say, you've got to understand evolution to be a doctor, because otherwise, you won't understand viruses and bacteria and how some of these become resistant to drugs and so on. So they say without evolution, you can't understand that sort of thing.
Well, that's just not true, and I'm evidence of that. I mean, I made clinical decisions for decades, and evolutionary worldview, the tenets of evolution, at no point ever made any impact on any decision I ever made.
Well, what about these bacteria becoming resistant to antibiotics and so on? Isn't that evolution?
Well, no. Organisms change, whether they're bacteria or they're dogs or cats or cows, but what bacteria change into are bacteria.
Wow, that's a revelation.
That's amazing, isn't it? And certainly we understand that many of the mechanisms of antibiotic resistance in bacteria, and those things are very important. I'm certainly not going to minimize the importance that has in taking care of somebody who's sick or has some type of...
But it has nothing to do with evolution.
It has nothing to do with evolution.
And in fact, it's to do with information.
It has to do with
And
information.
that actually connects to my talk.
Right.
Defining the word evolution. What do you mean by evolution? Because as you mentioned earlier, many are kind of redefining the term, and there's a bait and switch happening with the term evolution. So define what you mean by the word. If you're talking about natural selection, variation, mutations, of course those things take place. But do those things lead from one kind changing to another, changing a dinosaur to a bird? And they don't. They're actually going in the wrong direction. So we mentioned that in my talk.
Now we're covering a whole range of topics here. I'll just read through them. At this conference, this is February 17, Friday, February 17, the relevance of Genesis and the foundation of a Christian worldview. I'm talking on that. Bodie Hodge. Bodie's written the book on the Tower of Babel, and he's going to talk on the Tower of Babel, Origin of Races. Dr. Tommy Mitchell, Are You Intimidated? And that's going to deal with that issue of science and the Bible. And we're actually going to let them have lunch. And there's going to be a breakout session, Discovering the Real Origin of Species, by Dr. Nathaniel Jensen. He's a PhD from Harvard University, and he's done some incredible research in that regard. Leanne Sarkeesian will have a breakout session talking about animals and how you teach about those, and she'll talk about animals from a biblical perspective and teach about those using our petting zoo animals. Dr. Terry Mortensen, Deep Time Evolutionism, Anti-Biblical Philosophy Masquerading as Science, and then Brian Osmond, Do Animals Evolve? And for teachers who are looking for CEU credits, continuing education credits, they can get those?
Everyone who comes gets a certificate, a CEU certificate. So you come and you get that, and of course most Christian schools are going to honor that, and many secular schools will as well, depending on your subject. So yes, you will get that certificate.
And so anyone who needs those, we call them CEUs, right?
Yep,
Okay.
come on.
What does CEU stand for?
Continuing Education Unit.
continuing education unit. So they come, they'll get a certificate for continuing education unit.
It's pretty and everything.
And it's pretty and everything. But Christian schools will
absolutely.
honor that.
Oh, sure.
Secular schools, it depends.
Depends.
They would need to check that out. But
check out with your supervisor.
Even if they don't, it's just a great conference to come to.
Oh, absolutely.
So I want to encourage you to go to our website, answersandgenesis.org. Actually, if you go to our website, answersandgenesis.org, you can also go to our calendar events and look at other conferences we're running here during the year. Maria, question?
No, the link for this specific conference has been posted on this.
Oh, right at the top, thanks for reminding me, right at the top of the comments, you'll see that we have pinned there a link to this specific conference called Answers for Teachers. It's in about a month's time. And again, if you come to the Answers for Teachers conference, you get a certificate for CEU, the continuing education credit, and not only that, you get a ticket to go to the Creation Museum, and you also get 20% off a entrance fee for the Ark Encounter. So there's a couple of special things that you get if you attend this conference, as well as a number of different speakers, a number of different topics. It's like a one-day crash course in a creation Christian worldview. That's what it really is, a one-day crash course creation Christian worldview conference, February 17. Go to the top of the comments and you'll see the link direct to this conference. You can also go to answersandgenesis.org and you'll be able to see our calendar of events there and see the other conferences that we have during the year. We have a number of other conferences coming up. Our Answers for Women conference, for instance, Children's Ministry conference in March, World Religions conference. That's going to be an incredible one too. Yeah, we have a number of different guest speakers and going through the world religions and cults. It's very unique. We haven't done that before. And the Best of British conference, we have two British scientists coming over, and we're going to be videoing them here actually because they have some unique things to say, and so that'll be really something. So with that, I don't know if there's any questions we have today, but we just wanted to particularly promote this conference. It'll be here in Legacy Hall. Again, we'll give you a little shot of our Legacy Hall here. This is at the Creation Museum. This is where we do daily presentations with our speakers. Tommy Mitchell speaks here. Brian Osborne speaks here. I speak here. So do our other speakers. And also, you two are available to go out and speak in churches. I know you've got a lot of bookings this year, but if people want a church conference, they can request Dr. Tommy Mitchell, Brian Osborne, or just request a conference and we'll see who's available because we have other speakers as well. But you two both do a lot of speaking out on the road. And
Road warriors.
Road warriors, yeah. I've been on the road speaking for 40-something years. And so I tell you, that traveling gets to you after a while, but I start going away again this year, next weekend. I've had such a time off from being out there sitting in airplanes. My back is feeling better and I'm feeling healthier right now. And now I got to sit
Time to go back.
Yeah, got to sit in those seats and have your knees stuffed up into your nostrils and then worry about cancelled flights and delayed flights and missed connections. And no, I don't like flying at all. But their food has greatly improved because they don't have any anymore. So it has greatly improved. So there we are. All right, Answers for Teachers, February 17. Go to the comment right at the top of the comments here and you can have a direct link there. And I encourage you to go to our website, answersandgenesis.org, look at our calendar events and look at our other programs that we have this year, other conferences we have this year as well. So we're signing off here from the Creation Museum.
Sounds good.